see a new AD carry for LWX. What does he choose? It's mostly been a lot of Aphelios, but Aphelios getting some nerfs, as well as a lot of AD carries coming to the fray. They're immediately going to slam this. Instead of giving R5 to Chocho, they're going to just take the Xayah Rakan, a very strong, potent bot lane 2v2.
It's very strong showing from FPX here, just to have that stability in bot lane, but I also like, personally, the Uzi Kai'Sa. I know he talked about it in previous interviews because there's been a lot of question marks around the Kai'Sa before, I guess, these last tick-ups in the last week or so. But it is something he believes in because it gives him that quick killer power. And we do also get FoFo right back on the Azir, a powerhouse in his own right.
What is Kair's answer to this champion? It has most likely been Annie, but Annie is still available and definitely could be chosen here for FPX. EDG, do you respond with your support? They have such heavy priority on Renekton. There are a few players currently in the LPL that, thanks to this new patch, are almost solely playing Renekton. It has been a Renekton bot through and through for them. Ale is becoming one of them. They're just having him on this champion regardless of what happens. And Kair, he brings out another niche AD counter towards a mage and in the Yone.
Love to see this movement from FPX in terms of the draft itself and trying to find what can give them that difference maker, because EDG were ramping up, right? They've been building to this. Game 2 looked much like the EDG we've come to know here recently, and FPX need a way to stop them in their tracks. Then giving this, it does give a lot of bar of execution though, as we've talked about, but they've been willing to meet that bar before. As we do see the Rel and the Wukong banned by FPX, it's the Jax and Cassante by EDG.
Now, what does Xioalaohu actually go for here? Gonna want to see what exactly is the case. I'm surprised that they're just picking up this Maokai. Yes, it's a steal away from Jiejie, but now they kind of get their pick of the litter. They know what the support matchup is. They've known this for a while, but now you know the jungle matchup. There's a ton of options here. Sejuani's still available, and kind of feels like that's what they're pushing them towards. By getting rid of the Wukong, they really want to see if Jiejie is going to pick up this champion, and that right there is a killer 2v2 up in the top lane.
It truly is, as you love to see the opt-ins, a little bit of the strength picked up along the way in this series. But I also really like Hacker on the Maokai here. You do get that Sejuani poke and prod from Jiejie. That'll be super important, but also I think Meiko here might be the most important pick for EDG. We've seen some ups and downs in this series from him himself, but experience is key, and one of our oldest players to do it with this bot lane will lock in the Nautilus to make sure that he will be the decisive part of EDG's roster.
I was wondering what top lane here for Xioalaohu was going to be, because right now they have a lot of physical damage. Unless they're hoping for Hacker to go for that AP build, kind of opt into maybe an Imperial Mandate, the Demonic Embrace, those kinds of things would definitely help. Maybe there was a Gwen in their future. Nara is definitely an okay blind, but into Renekton with a Sejuani as well is very tough. All right, so FPX, they take the skill matchup. They take a matchup that's going to be very hard, and we'll see if both jugglers are going to path towards the top side. I think Hacker will need to cover to make sure that his Nara does not fall early.
I really am interested at how this Gnar is going to play into it, especially with the side lane pressure we've already seen from Xioalaohu, but I appreciate the fact that they're opting into more of a 5-on-5 style composition, right? Try to strengthen a little bit of that weakness that was there in game number 2, but specifically, we're right back to the same situation. Eyes on Jiejie and Hacker early, but how do Uzi and LWX get involved?
Big questions, especially for these two, where LWX, I think, has had a similar level of performance throughout the entire series, and Uzi, while still faltering in some cases, is slowly starting to ramp up into this. Final game, he needs to hit that Zenith. He needs to hit that Apex if he wants to take this team, contend for playoffs, get their spot, take this series over.
That's the thing going into it now. Everything on the line for EDG. They have a tough finishing of a schedule They need to get this win and lock in summer playoffs. They don't want the 50-50 nature of taking a best of against OMG and Weibo to finish the split. It's FPX who have made them sweat, made them work for it, and the fire is hot now in Shanghai as we're getting to our last game of this second series. It's make or break for EDG and FPX, the underdog story that can burn you from behind. It's gonna be a banger game number 3 as Edward Gaming versus FPX kicks off now.
Sad. Wait.
The crowd alive and well, the players on the field and ready to take to it. We have an incredible series at our hands, one that FPX have fought tooth and nail to push the distance to, but this is the moment they slip up. This is the moment that both these teams have had trouble capitalizing on, Alk.
What a fantastic series. I mean, we got through our stomp of a first game, and we said that this series should deliver. That while, yes, EDG should have taken a 2-0, we expected this series to try to deliver, that FPX could be that fiery upset. And so far, they took game 1. Game 2 looked competitive for the first 10-15 minutes, and we saw them start to falter there. Can they regain that composure for a team that has had pieces that have worked together, that have been part of this organization for such a long time? You have to be able to dig deep a little bit. You've been playing for a split now. You've been playing for a majority of the year together now. Both of these squads, I mean, we're expecting EDG. They obviously are bringing in Uzi mid-split. But for FPX, this is where all of this year, this is where your 2023 season kind of resides. It starts here. It ends here, potentially, if you're not able to make playoffs.
And that's the hardest thing to grasp onto for FPX is they need every win they can get, and they might start by taking a dub in bot lane 2v2. Meiko having to burn that flash early on. You did get the ignites from both sides, and Hacker will be spotted out by this ward on his way.
Hacker, I love you so much, man. You're my GOAT, instantly. He sees bot lane doesn't have flash. Skip the camps, brother man. I am playing Maokai. We are running straight into this tribe rush, and we're going to take control of this. Uzi cannot step up to this wave. This wave is going to crash. You see what Jiejie is doing, though? He's level 3. He knows what's going to happen here and can actually go for the invade, potentially.
Spotted out. Let's get that nice vision. I think both teams were really heavily playing around this vision here, and I love it as Jiejie actually going for a bit of that invade here, knowing what Hacker did to him last time around, and see if he can get this going here as he will end up finding it. Kair's on his way here, though. Jiejie has really found an aggressive mark. His FoFo's on his way, but Kair's already here. He has a tanky Poro. We'll have to burn that flash. Jiejie, I don't know about this one. The tower shot rings first blood for FPX. I am so confused.
I love that. I love that that's the energy that they're giving off. And honestly, I don't think expected. Wait, LWX?
Oh. The blade caller, though, makes the difference. Choto, he will be able to get out of that one. Heavy 2v2 trades up bottom side, but we have to really go back and talk about Jiejie.
I mean, I get it. You're going for the invade. It's level 2 Maokai versus level 3 Sejuani. I like the idea of it, but the exit there is just not what you want to see from EDG. Now, Hacker, he's going to take some of his bottom side camps, finish up on the top side, grab those scuttles, and look towards finishing it up here, and even could take a recall as he hasn't finished or taken or really spent any of that gold. I mean, What an impressive start for FPX off of some mistakes from EDG.
Some mistakes that get capitalized on hard, as we're going to take a look at that one again. And this was Jiejie's fight to start.
Right here, it's fine. It's fine. It's still looking fine. Okay, it's looking a little less fine.
The move back, literally the exact turret distance.
Yeah. Right there on the edge, and unfortunately, turns into that first blood like we were talking about. We'll see how much actually is going to impact. This was a kill that went over to Kair. So getting first blood gold is pretty nice. Ala can just take advantage of the fact that this wave is pushing into him, and Xioalaohu as Mininar is under some threat, but now notices enemy jungle is there. Not going to be able to get away with too much.
Chocho's getting collapsed on by Jiejie here. See if he wants to go over the wall. I don't think he knows, as that grand entrance nicely timed will end up getting him over the wall and to safety. This does mean a lot of priority given to EDG, but it's not necessarily a thing where they can start up this dragon point and present.
FPX right now is like, guys, are we getting dove? Is there a Sejuani potentially moving down? You saw that FoFo actually could have moved over, and there's another wave. Care does have to teleport back. Already has the as well. Without FoFo there to help him with the dragon early on, seems like, yeah, like you were saying, he's not going to have too much access to this dragon early. But going towards top side, Ala just did use the TP, so did Jiejie, and this could be something that they could look for. A lot of damage from our bot lanes. They are giving 0 quarter early on.
Yeah, they absolutely aren't, and it's a no-holds-bar here in these 2v2s because both these guys, LWX and Uzi, are the carries here for a majority of the win conditions for EDG. It is priority gained by FPX from the lanes, and they will be able to get this early dragon far from what we had in game number 1. As it will still be a bit contested by EDG.
Oh, we're fighting.
FPX didn't finish it. They actually went for the aggression on a Meiko, and now they're in a weird contested fight. What is happening? FoFo! He gets the big Emperor's Divide. We got the Sealed Fate coming through big. EDG, they get double knockup. Care is starting to pop off right now. He gets a couple back. He's surviving, but his team can't help him. He's actually out for now. He's trying to heal up, but Ala is right there waiting with a big old present for him. And it's a kill right to Ala and EDG's top lane, but it is 3 now in the pockets of Care.
They got so many kills there for FPX. And while Ala walked on down, Xioalaohu stayed here in the top side. He's been able to crash this wave. Is FoFo going to be the one to cast this? Let's take a look at this replay here. They just don't have enough damage, and what a great sweep to start this fight off from FoFo. Just flies into the backline, even getting LWX's flash. And Care, man, he's showing up on these pocket picks, but he needs to clean out the game. We saw it in game 2 on the Qiyana. Now here in game 3, you are in an early advantage. You need to take advantage of this, and you need to bring home a win for the squad.
I feel like it's something we never get to see for Yones to get locked in. I feel like they never get an advantage because that's when you start seeing Yones pop off. And the fact that we have this comfort niche pick coming out for Care in a game number 3 in a pivotal moment is huge. But he is set up. He has to execute now. The set has been there. You have to find the conclusion, right? Maybe he will be the closer of FPX in this last game. But specifically now looking at it, I think with a lot of the onus we get to EDG trying to finish this one, I think this has been a moment for FPX to really be proud of, and maybe not this moment so much. Xioalaohu with no Mega Gnar in sight will just be burned down, and Jiejie gets that one. But it's a thing where, you know, we were coming into this one with specific expectations. EDG trying to set themselves into the summer playoffs, and FPX were just trying to play spoiler to IG, who is not even included in this. And they just need all those wins they can get to even put themselves in contention, which they weren't even close to in Spring Split Out.
Oh, man. Imagine the double whammy for IG, who are up next. They're going to be playing against JDG, and it's like, oh, you got knocked out of playoffs because the match before, and you're playing the best team in the world. Thumbs up.
But it can't happen anymore. They had the 2-0. They had the 2-0.
Yeah, they had to go for the 2-0.
The ship has sailed.
Well, now they'll just have to wait for the JDG game to actually happen. And if we get an upset from IG, man, respect. Big respect. And you know what? We're not going to be on that series, so we can make all the blasphemous takes we want. We can do that after this game, however, as EDG now setting themselves up. You saw that topside play. That's what we talked about in the draft with this Gnar early on. Even with the level 6, Xioalaohu has to be so careful winning mini Gnar versus the Renekton. If Sejuani ever goes up there, especially when the ultimate is available, that is a point of weakness for them. Now Jiejie in the bottom lane and has the Rift Herald.
That is not a dredge line you necessarily want to take, but Hacker is right here as a response. What I love is that we got like a post 10-minute dragon last game. We had an attempted start by FPX, but they maybe had a little bit of ADHD, couldn't figure out what they wanted to fight. And now, like 3-4 minutes later, we finally get that first objective going over towards FPX.
Couldn't do anything in mid at the time. Care had already moved over. It seemed like they were going to maybe try to go for a dive under that bot lane turret, but with Jiejie there, play is not available for them. Both bot laners are going to be taking recalls. Big advantage here for Uzi, are finishing the static shiv. Same cannot be said for LWX, trying to get to that Kraken Slayer as soon as possible. Let's see where Jiejie actually utilizes this Rift Herald, as roaming around with Meiko. They're just trying to find picks, put down some vision. They can scout out, find Chocho, find out where Hacker are, make sure that we can play around that.
We do have that static shift completed first item in the game for Uzi, so he'll have a little bit of safety in that bottom line with the clears. As Ala and Xioalaohu still going at it, we have a bunch of vision being played around on this bottom side as Jiejie is trying to figure out where he wants to go with this, and could be a push from Uzi to make it so.
Still got 4 minutes before the next Herald. Like, everything just got taken. Cares even here trying to sneak around. They really want something to go on in this bottom
Jiejie's
side.
hovering so long. He's just hanging out there, making sure the bot lane's okay. As a push from FoFo actually comes in and crashes into the turret. Care not there in time to answer it in full. The Rift Herald in this tempo play will be used by EDG.
So, should be about only a single plate. Rift Herald doesn't do that much damage, yeah. So they'll get 1 here. So in total, FoFo actually getting 2.
Oh, Chocho, no, the CC and Uzi! He gets his 2nd kill of the game. And EDG, they pounce once again, and this is the lethality that this team shows.
This is one of the reasons why we've also seen Nautilus start to crop up when Rakan is so popular. It is just such a great way to stop him from engaging. Every single one of your abilities just is a counter to what Chocho wants to be able to do on this champion. So facing the wrath of picking this Xayah Rakan so early on, and that Nautilus pickup was very late into the draft, right? It was blue 4. It was after the 2nd phase of bans. That should have been something that FPX need to be cognizant of. And now they're getting punished for it. Xioalaohu going to be turning Mega. Needs to be careful. Both junglers are up here, but Jiejie would be the first one to respond.
See who can get up here a little bit quicker, but the 1v1 is going through. Xioalaohu will lose Meganar here as Jiejie coming up the lane. Won't be spotted just yet. We do see Hacker a little bit behind us. He was doing his Krugs. If Xioalaohu can get baited into this fight. As Ala just trying to buy some time here. Here he comes as Jiejie shows up. That's a flash Arctic Assault, and Xioalaohu just gone. Hacker, you have to just watch with the nature's grasp as the roots will take your friend underneath.
You just can't do that play when you don't have Meganar. Xioalaohu, I don't know what's happening, but definitely making a
He just didn't know he was there.
Here. Yeah, that's true, but I mean, still, right? Like, the point is that your jungler is there. You need to be able to pull Ala down into that, and now Hacker is picking up this wave. Xioalaohu could teleport back to this turret, but during all of this, Jiejie has time to reset, start on taking some of his camps in the bottom side, and this builds off of some pressure that we are seeing for EDG, where now their bot lane gets a plate for themselves. They're going to continue to hamper and get a bigger CS lead. Where FPX are falling behind, it is all eyes now on this mid lane, going even with FoFo in CS, but has to have big influence when we come to those team fights.
And we were talking a little bit about momentum and kind of the wake-up condition for EDG. They woke up in game 2, and right now, as is time, they are stomping the early part of this game. Yes, you had Care get early kills. He has the Gale Force now, but it's EDG who have made all the right decisions in the last couple minutes and have a decent goldie to speak of, about 2K at 13.5 minutes. And we do have that dragon coming up in a minute, and Chocho gets early engaged on by Meiko. We'll be able to get out of there with a little bit of help from Hacker.
The entire time, I mean, Uzi just pushes in a wave. He's able to clear it out, takes a recall before LWX and Chocho can do that. They're getting vision, but none of it is very deep. A lot of it is on their side of the jungle. A lot of it is spent clearing out vision that EDG had placed. So now for the blue side, like for EDG, they are feeling super comfortable. They can walk into this pit. It's a Maokai who is behind and is also going tank, has the Radiant Virtue here. So you're not going to randomly like walk in and lose like 15% of your HP to a single sapling. You're going to be chilling.
Gonna be chilling, but if the items come to bear for FPX, that's where things can start getting scary. You did get that Kraken Slayer completed there for LWX as well, so you have a little bit of strength there, but obviously Xayah really waiting for those second, third item spikes to come through. We do have a hesitancy around this objective here, but both teams hovering very heavily.
And top laners do have their teleports. Thing is, Xioalaohu will be hitting Meganar now, so will not have that same teamfight presence if he does go to this dragon immediately with a teleport. Seems like instead FPX, they do not want to try to contest as it is right now. They do not have priority from their bottom lane. They'll be entering in late, and even Care doesn't have any Q3s to really stack up.
Yeah.
So Second Dragon goes over to EDG, and FPX, they feel a little bit asleep. We talked about that. Like, need to find something, need to do something.
See if they can do it right now. Just both teams willing to take these trades back and forth. And we do have Rift Herald that is up and available to play towards. I do expect the vision for both teams to transition up that way. And maybe Ala and Xioalaohu can get a bit of influence now.
And Meiko are immediately trying to clear out vision. We talked about it in almost every single time we talk about Renekton. The fact is, this champion will gain you priority in almost every single matchup, and you want to try to play 4 Rift Heralds. Thanks to his kit, thanks to being manaless, he can stay in lane for so long, the healing that's in there as well. But right now, they're still waiting for the rotations. I mean, Meiko is making his way over here. The fact that this resets is a boon for EDG.
Oh my goodness, they actually get to pounce around this, and Uzi's been taking a side lane tower this entire time. FPX got to be decisive here. That is the tower gone to EDG and solo gold over to Uzi. We will see the Rift Herald go over to FPX. They'll be able to use that to get Care some more gold.
A winning play, I think, for EDG. You lose out on this Rift Herald, but all of that solo gold going on to Uzi is a win for them. That is one of their win conditions. The ability to set up Uzi to have success, to now fire away on these Prey Seekers. And you have to think from FPX, what is our game plan? We have 3.5 minutes before the next break. It is Cloud Soul. What are we looking to do? We are looking for Care to be on a side lane with this Yone and eventually to add threat onto whoever is going to be matching him. Well, yes, but that doesn't always win you the game. LWX is very far behind. He has only died once, but because of the way that they've had to pull bot lane away from the lane and actually play towards some of these objectives, he has 30 down in top of that.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty. You also see that player gold there on the left side of your screen, and Uzi is heads and above everyone else in the game right now. He also just got his second item completed. Double Nashor's Tooth now available for FoFo and Uzi. We'll see if FPX really have an answer. Again, feels like they're falling asleep at the wheel. I know it's a long series, but you've got to find some proactivity, especially with this Yone comp and the advantage that Care had early on that hasn't necessarily been utilized.
See what they can do. I mean, this should just be the mid-tier 1 going down. Opens up so much more of the map. It means that your Raptors are always going to be contested. It means that moving in for Baron is that much harder. The vision that they can start to gain in this river ramp, so important. FPX, I'm worried that they know that they scale, but that they don't think that they need to make a play. They don't know where they should be able to make a play. A lot of this engage has to come off the back of Chocho, who has been caught out a few times now and has been able to make some escapes.
Care just locked down again, and the CC chain's huge. Hacker goes way ham as LWX is trying to make it here. Ala goes over the wall with the flash. That's an instant feather storm, and Uzi with the killer instinct again. The big step up from EDG in game number 3, and it's not looking pretty for the Phoenix.
There goes the lead. EDG just obliterated in front of FPX. And now, like, I'm looking at this and we're staring down at EDG going up to 8-6, moving on, contending into the playoffs, and securing their spot, making it into at least the top 10 at the very least. FPX now, what are you going to be able to do? You are only down 2,500 gold. You're trying to put some gold into Xioalaohu on this Gnar, but his teamfight presence has just not been there. That pick onto Care was huge, and unfortunately LWX uses the ultimate, uses the flash and the cleanse.
We actually see it's happened multiple times now where just the sheer CC coming out from EDG is layered so well that the enemy just literally cannot do anything.
Walking into Fog of War, this was a mistake that we had even plagued with anyone's Legend in their series just today. Just not respecting that an opponent could be in that brush, not necessarily utilizing the correct vision. I love how in slow-mo, Killer Instinct just breaks all Observer tools because it's just such a fast ability. Good job coming out from EDG. More gold into those carries, right? It's not necessarily FoFo, but Ala doing a perfectly fine job, and Uzi as well getting a piece of that gold.
And Uzi, man, the guy's stepping up to the occasion. I know we talked a lot about him coming into the series and just the grit that he's had, the reestablishment of a legacy that he is trying to create here on EDG. He does not necessarily want to be known for all of his international success with RNG. He wants to carve a new space for himself as the premier ADC for EDG. And we'll see if he can make a first mark in that here on the Kai'Sa, who has so much gold with one game separating them from a chance at Worlds.
Take the Dragon as well. It's just going, everything is going well for EDG. This was the exact kind of game that they wanted to play. For FPX, diagnosis right now, maybe a little bit of comatose. I need to see, again, LWX is the main carry for this team. He is always the guy that they rely on for late game team fights. But when you have so many threats you have to deal with, a Renekton, a Kai'Sa flying into the backline, it gets very difficult to actually play marksman, much less any other role. So we need to see how FPX are going to mold around this play, if Xioalaohu is ever going to actually join a team fight as the Meganar. Otherwise, we're going to see the slow and painful death of FPX's dreams, and EDG moving on. Wow.
And both these teams after this series have 2 series left, and while it's not out of the contention just yet for FPX, they need to have every single win possible. And EDG just needed a win tonight to make sure it happens, to be able to take that stress off their shoulders. K are going to have a lot of stress on his shoulders, though. Jiejie was ready to go with the Glacial Prison, but that is a return to form for EDG, and I think a rightful one as well. Game 1, it did not look like the same team that we've seen a lot recently, and while they've had some stumbles, they are finally looking on the same page, and FPX need to turn that page themselves.
3 minutes before this Dragon spawns, and doesn't look like we're going to get much action. I wanted to revisit that Uzi topic that we had, just because for the collective consciousness, like for people who have watched League history for a little bit that know of Uzi, we have always appreciated the fact that he's able to come back and play in competitive at a high level. But there are a lot of people who have joined in the last couple of years who may not be as familiar. They might not bother to watch VODs. They might not be there to have seen some of the legendary moments. All they know is really of the Billy days, and that was not a great roster for him to be able to play on. Obviously splitting time with Doggo, eventually dropping down into inactivity. There are a lot of people who are, for the first time, going to be learning about Uzi alongside the broadcast here for the summer split, and I think it's great. It's a beautiful piece of history that they get to share as they find out more of one of the most legendary players to ever touch League.
And it's incredible to see them performing as well with Uzi paired up alongside Meiko, 2 of our longest standing players in the LPL,
Yes.
but a mainstay for EDG. It's somebody that Uzi went up against time and time again when he was on RNG all those years ago. Now we do look at EDG trying to continue setting pace here. They'll take a side lane turret, and now they're at almost a 3 or 3.5k gold lead.
Waiting for FPX to make a first move. It's just felt like every single time they want to make a play, it's either Chocho gets caught out and they're not able to do something. It's a bit of hesitancy. They need to have someone who is shot calling. Maybe a lack of direction here for FunPlus Phoenix, where EDG, we talked about it going into the series, they are more than willing to take this game as slow as possible. They will take every advantage they can get. They will make sure to suffocate you out of the game, put you in a chokehold so you cannot actually play the game. And at this point, it's getting towards that point of the state of the game where Uzi up 40 in his individual matchup. Top lane Ala, while he's deathless, he is going to be a level 16 Renekton soon, jumping straight into the back line. And now EDG, they want to pull FPX. They want to see if you are actually going to do anything in this game as they start with the
That would have
Baron.
been a little dicey, I feel like, if Meiko actually hit that dredge line, but you do have the 3-item spike for Uzi coming to bear here. Oh no! FPX have already been caught out. That's a nice bait unsealed, but can it be enough? No! Kair's already gone, and Uzi's got his eyes set on LWX. He has the killer instinct. Will he go for it? He gets one. Is he gonna try to get it? He goes, and he takes him out! It's a big moment from EDG as they're streaming forward into the Phoenix, and they bat the fires away! Hell has come for the Phoenix, and FPX are dusted.
It's a full ace here. EDG. They're going to move on. They're going to take this game in dominant fashion now. 5,000 is the gold lead. You have to expect that that's going to expound even further here as
even the
mid-tier,
minions want them in playoffs.
Yep, they get the Baron as well. Dragon will spawn, but that'll be merely a formality, a footnote in this series. As we take a look at this replay as to what was going on, I mean, again, Xioalaohu with this Meganar gets ulted. Where is the Meganar ultimate? I thought maybe with this start from him and Care, we could see that turnaround, but look where Uzi is completely untouched.
The engage was there. It was an available option. I don't think it was one that FPX needed to go for. Shoto going down takes away so much of their front line and enables moments like this where you give EDG all the power in the world. Let's go! Get hype! Ooh, LWX again.
God,
oh
LWX.
no. Ala, he wants a little bit of feathers in his food. And Ala gets the kill on the side. That's a solo bolo and the dragon.
God.
And look at that Uzi damage. You needed him to step up. You wanted him to start creating a legacy for EDG. Well, they're on the cusp of making it to playoffs off of his back.
We'll see how EDG are able to close this one out, pushing on multiple different lanes. Hacker gets engaged upon, has to flash away. Not enough range for the side of FPX. Without LWX alive means that they can just fire away. These cannons are battering FPX's base and are looking at the last possible vestiges of FPX here in the regular season.
There's one last fight here potentially for FPX, but it's an EDG who have so much potential in this Baron buff to just finish the game here. And we'll see if they can get this tower in the bottom side. It looks like that will be the focus. FPX try to put up a little bit of a tussle, but here they go. One last fight, one last breath. Is it going to be enough? It's Jojo's already going down, but Care has as well. The hop, skip, and a jump from Xioalaohu, but it's a nice reposition with the killer instinct from Uzi, and it's all she wrote for this series. And EDG, they've known so much success in this organization's lifetime. It was question marks when Scout, when Viper left, what was this team gonna be like? But Uzi comes in, makes the difference, and shows up big. Welcome EDG to the summer playoffs.
Almost missing out. People had questions, people had doubts. You look at the beginning of the season, I think you're right to potentially question this organization. But here and now,